So here's a question that's been putting some wrinkles in my brain lately. So say you're sitting in Subway and you're chowing down on a $5 footlong, and then there's this flash of light and the future version of you shows up and they go, oh my god, subject, whatever you do, don't predicate. And then a flash of light and they disappear. Do you listen? Do you follow the instructions of your future self? Because if you believe in the butterfly effect, the principle that tiny changes will have large effects in the future, not the Ashton Kutcher movie. If you believe in that, then the exact path that you were on up until time-traveling you showed up led to that version of yourself. And then you have to consider that exact path in some way contributed to the invention of time travel. And so if you deviate from that path in any way, you might jeopardize the invention of time travel, which would be a buzzkill for the entire culture. But then you have to consider it must be really important if the future version of you thought that it was worth traveling all the way back in time to warn you about. Does it depend on the task? Like, if they command you not to do something versus giving you instructions on doing something you weren't already going to do? It's a question of scale, too, how big the task is. If it's like, oh my god, don't eat that $5 footlong, poof. Or if it's, whatever you do, you have to find this woman and marry her. Something I'd be worried about is what if sort of prankster costume technology advances to the point that someone could perfectly disguise themselves as me and then travel back in time and really mess with the past version of me, thus screwing over the future version of me by giving me some ridiculous instruction. Like, whatever you do, you have to shave your head. It's for the good of humanity. Think of the babies. And then I shave my head and then I lose my fortune. Because my hair is the secret to my strength, unlike Samson. Because, I mean, there's not really a way to ensure. Like, how would you verify your own identity? I don't think you'd have the time on this premise. And does it affect your answer if you show up in the TARDIS? Because, on one hand, you know, you're traveling in the TARDIS. You kind of want to trust anybody that comes out of the TARDIS. But at the same time, the path that you are on, if we go back to the butterfly effect, the path that you are on led you to traveling around in the TARDIS. And that's awesome. But then on top of that, the Doctor has very strict rules about not crossing your own time stream. So if future you shows up in the TARDIS and tells past you to do or not do something, then either the Doctor waived that rule because this thing is so important, or you have held the Doctor hostage, or hijacked the TARDIS. And either way, that's kinda awesome. And the path that you were on that led you to that thing, I would not want to deviate from that in any which way, because I would not want to jeopardize me going on the TARDIS. Because, I mean, this premise assumes that you can't ask future you questions as to why, and I assume that the consequences of you listening or not listening are confined to just you. But again, if it's important enough for you to travel back in time to tell yourself about it, it's gotta be pretty important. Because I would imagine that time traveling takes up a lot of energy, sort of bending the fabric of space, so I would imagine that is not a light kind of thing. And that's another thing we don't know. Maybe time travel is super cheap. I'm not very good at small talk, and I will do basically anything to avoid the, so what are you studying in college, what do you plan to do with it question. And so it's good to have questions like this in my brain purse, because in a lot of situations when I'm meeting people for the first time, or, you know, I kind of know them through some friends, and then we're stuck at like a dinner party together, it's good to be able to bust out things like, so if you were sitting in Subway and the future version of yourself time travels back and tells you not to do something, do you listen to their instructions? And then, like, it doesn't matter if you have anything in common. Everybody worries about time travel, obviously. And so, take it from me, a professional awkward person, that's how you can skirt uncomfortable silence. Just little questions like this in your little bandolier of conversation. I didn't know how else to end this video, so I hope that's good enough.